Hello and welcome to today's video. I'm Greg Lomason, author of Waking Spirit. Before we dive in, remember, while based on extensive research, the medical treatments in my book are fictional. Always consult healthcare professionals for real medical advice. My book, Waking Spirit, explores hypergravity sickness and sepsis on the planet Pazíumāni. My research journey began with two questions. What happens to the human body under extreme gravity? And how might traditional medicine evolve in such an environment? I studied NASA reports on G-forces, learning that even at 3G, blood pools in the lower body, causing blackouts. For sepsis, I delved into medical journals, discovering how it can mimic other conditions, which was perfect for a mysterious fictional illness. The key to effective research in science fiction writing is blending real science with creative speculation. As we explore Sūsa's notes in the following slides, I'll show you how I translated this research into some engaging prose. Pazíumāni's high gravity shapes everything, from its flora and fauna to its inhabitants' physiology. I studied astrophysics and earth sciences to create a believable ecosystem. Did you know that plants in high gravity would likely be shorter and sturdier, or that weather patterns could be more extreme due to denser atmospheres? These details can add depth to your world, and they added depth to mine. When world building, consider how your environment's unique features affect every aspect of life. It's not just about creating a backdrop, it's about crafting a living, breathing world. For Pazíumāni's culture and setting, where the sickness and treatment take place, I researched Celtic and Pan-African societies, focusing on their social structures, beliefs, and daily life. The challenge was creating a unique blend of culture that also felt authentic. I studied how isolated communities develop their own dialects and customs. This is also based on some of my own life as I grew up in a small village. This influenced Pazíumāni's unique language and traditions. So when you're writing a book, don't just invent customs, understand their roots. Every ritual, every saying in your fictional culture should have a reason for existing, even if it's not explicitly stated in your story. Creating Sūsa meant becoming a student of both ancient and modern medicine. As a student in Wayne State University's kinesiology program, I was able to use my background to explore traditional hot and cold therapy and how they might integrate with futuristic tech. I reviewed herbalists and ER research, finding fascinating interactions and intersections between old and new healing practices, and this research helped me craft Sūsa's unique approach to medicine. Your character should reflect their world's medical understanding, so consider how their background, training, and environment shape their approach to healing. This is also known as CAM, or Complementary and Alternative Medicine. James is the primary lead character in the book, along with Sūsa, and James embodies cultural displacement in an extreme environment. So I researched the psychological effects of isolation and the physiological impacts of high gravity. Studies on astronauts returning from space provided insights into how the body adapts to changing gravitational fields. I also delved into accounts of cultural shock and adaptation. Interested in pursuing aerospace physiology as a secondary bachelor's program, this area really helped me stay motivated. So when creating characters from different worlds, make sure to layer their background into their cultural struggles. Every reaction, every difficulty should be informed by their unique perspectives. James's symptoms combine elements of sepsis and hypergravity syndrome, as I stated. I created some detailed symptom charts to ensure consistency throughout the story. For instance, the blue tint to his eye whites is inspired by cyanosis in sepsis, while his swollen limbs reflect the blood pooling seen in high G environments. In your sci-fi, your fictional ailments should have logical progression based on real conditions. This attention to detail helps to suspend disbelief and immerse readers in your world, so make sure you do that. Let's peek over Sūsa's shoulder as she examines James for the first time. Notice how her observations blend medical precision with poetic metaphor. As an author, this was a delicate balance to strike. I spent hours studying medical examination reports, then challenged myself to rewrite them using imagery from Pazíumāni's environment. For example, his breath as shallow as the pools left by the retreating tides. This technique doesn't just describe James's condition, it immerses readers in Sūsa's world. If you're an aspiring author, remember, every description is an opportunity to deepen your world building. My research into hypergravity and sepsis informed Sūsa's diagnostic process, so because of that, she considers sepsis, anemia, iron and B12 deficiency, scurvy, hypergravity syndrome. Each of these aligns with real physiological responses to extreme gravity and severe infection. For instance, studies show that hypergravity can lead to anemia due to increased red blood cell destruction. By grounding your fictional diagnosis in real conditions, you can create a more believable narrative. However, remember that James's actual illness is more complex than these conditions, and it's fictional, so you have to extrapolate on these ideas. Here, Sūsa notes that James's illness is as rare as the blooming of the potsy fruit. Her observations blend medical insight with cultural references. The rarity she mentions hints at the unique nature of James's condition, a combination of hypergravity effects and a mysterious infection. So I delved into the studies of PTSD, culture shock, and the psychological effects of extreme environments. Because James, going through this, is experiencing bouts of confusion and delirium, fever, and dreams. Sūsa's treatments combine traditional remedies with speculative adaptations for a high-gravity world. For example, activated charcoal and honey for wound care, which is based on real antibacterial properties. Frankincense and myrrh for inflammation, which is supported by recent studies on their medicinal effects. Blood transfusions, which are a modern technique adapted to Pazíumāni's technology level. Creating this list was a journey through ethnobotanical texts, alternative medicine studies, and even modern pharmaceutical research. For each remedy, I asked myself, what is Earth's equivalent? How might it have evolved? What's its cultural significance? This depth of research might not all make it to the page, but it informs every treatment decision Sūsa makes. Each treatment is rooted in real-world research, but adapted to fit our fictional world. This approach adds depth to your medical world building. So here, on Sūsa's notes, is where Sūsa begins treatment. I have called upon the spirits of our land to aid him. Frankincense and myrrh rise like mist, while hops and lavender cradle his head like a mother's arms. These are not the names of the herbs in the book, obviously, and her use of frankincense and myrrh isn't just cultural color. Studies show these substances have anti-inflammatory and calming effects, crucial for both sepsis and hypergravity syndrome. I had to ensure medical plausibility while advancing both plot and character development. So notice how James's aggression reveals his backstory, and how Sūsa's choice of treatments reveals her own beliefs and training. In your writing, look for these opportunities to make every detail serve multiple narrative purposes. So now that you've read a little bit of the story, let's pull back the curtain on Sūsa's first treatment. Each remedy she uses is grounded in real-world research. This involves studying ethnobotanical texts, medical journals, and pharmacological studies. Frankincense, studies in neuropharmacology show it may have antidepressant effects according to a 2008 study. Hops shows that research in phytomedicine indicates the benefits of it for insomnia and anxiety. And for eucalyptus, respiratory medicine studies prove its effectiveness in treating breathing difficulties. So now we get back to the book, and as we move on to Sūsa's second treatment, notice how the language shifts. The medical becomes poetic. The ginger and willow have worked their magic as sure as the tides. His breath comes easier now, like the gentle lapping of the Etty. Sleep has calmed him at last, dreamless as the deepest pools. Her poetic language describes a scientifically sound approach. The orange provides vitamin C, crucial in sepsis treatment. Mushrooms offer B vitamins, addressing potential deficiencies in hypergravity conditions, and bone broth supplies easily digestible proteins and minerals. Willow helps to calm fevers. But behind Sūsa's poetic treatments lies that foundation of scientific research. Activated charcoal, used in modern toxicology to absorb toxin, becomes Sūsa's tool to draw out poison. Honey's antibacterial properties, well documented in wound care studies, are poetically described as sweet as new love will cleanse. The challenge for the sci-fi authors is translating dense scientific papers into engaging fiction. My approach? Focus on the why behind each treatment. Understanding bone broth's protein-preserving glycine informed how I described its nourishing effects. Remember, your research should be like an iceberg. Readers only see the top, but the depth informs every word. By blending scientific fact with poetic description, we can create a believable care system in our fictional world. This balance of authenticity and imagination is what brings a science fiction world to life, allowing readers to immerse themselves while subconsciously recognizing the treatment's validity. In each of Sūsa's notes, she battles a different symptom. Notice now how Sūsa battles James's fever. I wage war with his fever, cool cloths brought from the Etty and ocean fight the fire within him, while heated stones ward off the chill that follows. This treatment mirrors real-world fever management techniques. The alternating hot and cold therapies reflect the complex nature of fever treatment in severe infections and the body's struggle to regulate temperature in high-gravity environments. When writing medical scenes, consider how your character's environment influences their treatment methods. Sūsa's use of river water and heated stones shows her adapting universal principles. Sūsa's fever management blends ancient wisdom with cutting-edge science. Willow bark, containing salicin, aspirin's precursor, isn't just folklore, it's backed by pharmacological studies on fever reduction. Her use of heated rocks and cold water mirrors modern critical care thermoregulation techniques. These methods aren't just dramatic flourishes, they address the complex nature of fever and sepsis and the unique challenges of temperature regulation in hypergravity environments. Aerospace medicine studies show that high G-forces can impair the body's thermoregulation. As a sci-fi author, your job is to adapt real-world techniques to your unique setting. A 2002 study by DeWitt on effective heating reducing metabolic heat production informed my writing of Sūsa's methods. These scientific details allow you to craft treatments that feel both exotic and credible. Remember, even your most primitive remedies should have roots in real science. This blend of research and imagination is what brings authenticity to your fictional medical practices. In Sūsa's last note, she makes a critical decision. I have given him my blood, as the Etty gives life to our village, a meal to strengthen his spirit, broth of bone and greens. This moment is pivotal, both medically and narratively. Blood transfusions are used in severe sepsis cases. The nutrient-rich broth and greens address the anemia often seen in both sepsis and hypergravity syndrome. However, there's more to this treatment than meets the eye. Sūsa's blood carries antibodies from a rare, forbidden medicine, a plot point that ties together the medical and personal aspects of our story. I studied both modern transfusion techniques and historical bloodletting practices to create this moment. The key is to blend the technical with the emotional. As you write, ask yourself, how can this medical procedure reveal something deeper about my character or my world? Sūsa's final treatment showcases the pinnacle of our research journey. Blood transfusion backed by critical care studies on sepsis and iron-rich spinach, informed by space medicine research on altered iron metabolism in varying gravity, form the scientific backbone of this scene. But here's where the science fiction truly shines. James's illness isn't actually sepsis or pure hypergravity syndrome, but a fictional disease mimicking both. Sūsa's blood carries antibodies from a rare, forbidden medicine, a plot twist grounded in real immunology, but elevated by imagination. This exemplifies how authors can use scientific research as a foundation for fantastical elements. We're not just relaying facts, we're weaving a tapestry that captures imagination and touches hearts. Create a research web for your story, connecting each piece of information to enrich your world building. And remember, good research is the bedrock of believable fiction. Dive deep, connect the dots, and let your research fuel your imagination. That's how you transform scientific facts into storytelling magic. And if you want to read the book, or at least a part of it, sign up for the book and games wishlist. The link is down in the description. You can read the first 40 pages and receive updates on both the book and the game. Until next time, Poetic Sukari.